Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leap Morning Leap session. My name is Doug McKay. I'm the founder of Quantum Leap Futures. Each morning we get together in these live go-to sessions to take a look at the market macro to micro, take a look at the structure of the market, the auction, and then drill down to our trade levels, our targets, and our hypotheses for the day. This is a subscription room, so if you're interested in checking us out, please wait, I'll put up my contact information. Before I do that, please read through the disclaimer. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and any trades that you see is for education purposes only. Please trade your own trade plan, your own metrics, and your own risk. Okay, if you want to get a hold of me, send me an email at quantumleapfutures@gmail.com or send me a Skype request at Doug_McKay. I'll be the one from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. There is no blog. There is no website. This is not a commercial venture. If you like what we do, follow me on Twitter at Crazy2. And if you like this video, there's probably a couple of years of them on Twitter. Or on YouTube. Just do a search for Quantum Leap Futures. Okay. Our main hypothesis yesterday was open auction in range, a move down between 65 and 61, and then a move up through and up into that microcomposite VPOC at the 85, 75, and the test of the microcomposite value area high from 2015 at 8650. Hypothesis 2 was an open auction in range, a move up and a failure to break out of the prior day range or probe just outside of the prior day range, and then come back down, chop around in the 65.50 to 61 area, and then having a late day probe down into this 54 and 53. So hypothesis 2 basically played out very well, just didn't get as far of a late day probe as I anticipated that we would. Overnight we failed to, we had a one tick failed auction. We went down overnight and hit the 57.50, one tick below the range low from the RTH session, and then we rotated back up. So we do have a failed auction right now, but we'll get into all that in just a couple minutes. One thing I did post last night, there was a beautiful cup and handle that's set up that I posted in the room, and although it didn't come back to the 38.2, it was still valid because I use the fibs. Bulkowski uses 35%. So this move down here to the, I think it was 60, 61 and a quarter, was still a valid cup and handle. Main target was 64 and a quarter with the extended target at 65, 75, and we basically hit that and plus some. So I don't know if anybody traded this. I did trade this. Actually had a pretty decent night last night. There was OTF in the house. Where's the, get out of it? How do I close this? There we go. There was OTF participation most of last night. Okay, quick look at the news. I had my news open. I don't know why. Sorry, I just got to get my news open. Okay, so news. We had unemployment claims. Expected 277 came out at 294. And we were basically trading around 71 and a quarter, and we had a sell-off on the news down to 60. Well, we're trading 68.75 right now. Import prices came in 0.3, expected 0.6. 10:30, we've got natural gas. Now, we've got a lot of FOMC members speaking today, so I think it's going to make the markets pretty skittish depending on what these members say. We've got Mester at 11. We've got Rosengreen at 11:45. We've got George speaking at 1:30, and then we got the bond auction at 1 o'clock. So we got a fair amount of news this RTH session. So just be careful from 11 o'clock on, because depending on what they say could spark some movements in the market. Okay, one thing I always do every morning is I start with a monthly candlestick chart. I use a 9 EMA and a 20 SMA, and I'm taking a look at where we are within the trends, and do we have slope and separation, or are we violating or challenging the trend? You see beautiful move up and monthly, couple challenges. We've taken it back, and so far in April and May, we have continuation setting up. We're starting to get some slope. We don't have separation, but this is pointing towards a continuation pattern on the monthly. On the weekly, we had this beautiful move up, created the technical gap, closed the technical gap, failed to close below the 9. We are above the 9 in the 20. We've got slope and separation, so we've got a continuation of the trend on the weekly. On the daily, we've got some consolidation going on right now. We had rolled over, but they took it back on Tuesday. Yesterday, we came down and challenged the trend, and so far today we're back above the 9 and coming up and testing the 20. Key level right here is going to be this 73 level. Actually, I'm looking at the 73, 75 level, and then below the 63, I'm using the line in the sand of 65.50 again, but right now we've got consolidation on the daily. Going to the intraday, we had this nice trend up, created the technical gap, a FUBAR Mr. Sneaky technical gap, closed it out, failed, closed below the 9 and the 20, created a little bit of a FUBAR Mr. Sneaky tech gap here, and then we overnight took it back, and we're currently above the 9 and the 20 and getting the possibility of a continuation pattern on the 1 hour. On the on the 4 hour. On the 1 hour, we rolled over during the day and went down and had that failed auction. Now it is a failed auction, a one-tick failed auction, but it's also a weak low because we put in a double bottom at 57.50. But since then, we've the responsive buyers stepped in and took it all back, and we've got slope and separation to the upside. We do have a naked cross down here at 64.32. Now there's a bunch of singles we got to pay attention to this morning from yesterday's auction. I'll pull it up in just 1 second, but we do have possible continuation pattern on the 1 hour. Going to the 30-minute, you can see we've got nice slope and separation. We're losing a little bit of slope here with this FUBAR Mr. Sneaky on the news, and tech gap, closing the tech gap right now. Need to hold this 2069 level for continuation. Likely going to get more of a challenge down here to the 65.25. One of my main hypotheses is a move down. We'll get into that in a minute. Going to the 15-minute, beautiful slope and separation. News came out, created a FUBAR Mr. Sneaky tech gap, actually double Mr. Sneaky, and a move down, testing the 20 from above, and so far a little bit of a bounce there. So the trend is being challenged but not violated. Going to the 5-minute, you can see we do have a bit of a rollover. We have a naked cross that was just created on the news up here at 70.50. Mark that on your journal. And basically we got a possibility of a start of a downward trend on the smaller time frame. So taking a look at the big picture, first of all, I want to just point out, bring up the market profile chart. You can see we have these singles below us. The POC, the node, as Marvin would say, from yesterday was at 71 and a quarter. The VPOC was at 71. But we've got these singles that we left at 67 and a quarter, 66 and a quarter, and 61. And we had a double distribution day yesterday. If I take the split off on the letters, you can see that we had a clear double distribution day with these two singles right here at 67 and a quarter and 66 and a quarter that I'm anticipating is going to get taken out this morning or this afternoon, one of the two, depending on which hypo plays out first. So taking a look at the bigger picture, again, bringing into context, always want to have context. We're inside longer-term price value or value area in this upper distribution, and the key microcomposite LVN is still all the way down here at 2016. Based on the move up in the ES weekly, our weekly ATR downside target, believe it or not, is sitting right on top of this 2016. Don't know if we're going to get there because our 20-day daily ATR is 2081, and we're trading 2068. 2068. So 40 points below that is in the 20s, but it's still very much doable depending on what happens today. But right now we're in this balance up here in the upper distribution of this of microcomposite that ran in from October through to January. The microcomposite value area, VPOC is 6350. The value area high is 8650. This is going to be a key level for us again today. It's going to be my key line in the sand above. And, we've got these smaller, microcomposites, one which is up here where we tried to hold value around that 85.75 with the value area low at the 75.50 and value area high at 97. And we fell out of that value, came down to this 47.75, accepted value around the 44, then 53, and then they moved up now and they made and created this gap zone right here, which runs, it was running from the 61.50 down to, where was it? Sorry, I just got to check my levels here. Where's my flex levels? Where are you? There you are. No. Where the flex levels go? I must have closed them down. No, there they are right there. Okay. So we've got this gap zone that we dipped into yesterday and tested through it. And then overnight we've tested up through it again. So we still have the naked close down there at the 64. I think it's 64 and a quarter. And we're trading still inside of this blunt area of this distribution zone that centers around the composite VPOC at 6150. We tried to break out of that and tried to get into the prior value, and we basically failed at this microcomposite LVN just below the 2080.50, and put in our weekly high at 79.75. And yesterday they took it all back. They one-ticked the low from yesterday and then basically ran all the way through and got up to, I think the high overnight is 72.75. but we've fallen back, and we've got this 2-day microcomposite VPOC around the 71 and a quarter, which is basically where the two VPOCs were for both each individual days, and we're currently below it. There's really a lot of undetermined value here. If we fail to get back above 71 and a quarter, and I'm looking at the 75.50, then we're likely to come back down and chop down in this area again and spend another day probably in balance with a downside bias. Key levels to watch out for are the 65.50. The 65.50 is a microcomposite LVN. It's the LVN from the double distribution from the other day. It's also the value area high from this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-day balance now that we're in. If we fail to get out, if we fall back into this value area, I expect us to move down back towards the 61 and take out that naked single at 61 and chop around, probably come down this time a little bit further into that 53, 54 area that we were looking for. So let's take a look at the overnight and start putting our numbers in. So, I mean, we do have time to make a new high, but right now our overnight high is up at 72.75. Our overnight low is down at 57.50, one tick below yesterday's range low. Based off of our overnight high at 72.75 minus 20.7275 minus 20.81 20-day ATR. Our downside daily ATR target is now down at the 52. And off of our overnight low of 20.5750 times plus the 20.81 daily ATR, our upside ATR target is, that's wrong, 20.5750 plus 20.81 is 20.78 and a quarter, so just above the value area. So you can see that our range, most of our upward range has been taken out. We don't have much to go. So the overnight was basically a triple distribution. You have this LVN right here at 67. This area right here is, a low volume area that basically extends from the 67 and a quarter down to that 65.50. And I keep doing this, but this has got to be a slush zone again, because this is going to be an area that will probably move through quickly. Now you can see that we have these two singles. We have these two singles right now at 67 and a quarter and 66 and a quarter. So I'm expecting both of these to get taken out and testing the 65. And then you've got the single down here at 61, which is basically two ticks, below the composite VPOC, or the most traded price of the composite going back to 2013, the beginning of 2013. So our overnight VPOC is not likely going to shift. It's at just shifted actually down from 71. It's now down now at 68.75. And we've got this LVN here at 67 and 75 and 65. So that coincides with this whole slush area, I like to call it, in between the upper and the lower distribution from yesterday. So not much else. You have the HVN down here at 60. Basically that coincides with the 60 and a quarter that we had as an HVN of the lower distribution. So not much more we need from the Globex. So let's just expand this out. Now it's going to look it's starting to look very cluttered in this area, and that's something we have to pay attention to, because that tells us that we're in an area of a lot of undetermined fair value and a lot of repair work that we've got to do on the auction. We've made a pretty significant move overnight. Inventory overnight is net long. So I think we see pain for the longs if we get below the 65s. So my main hypothesis is obviously we're going to open in range, in value. Depends on where we open. If we open in the upper distribution or if we open in this this slush area, I don't know. We still have 20 minutes to go, but we are going to open auction in range, in value. So I'm expecting a lot of chop on the open. I am expecting these singles to be taken out. My main hypothesis is very similar to yesterday. A wide amount of chop and a move down, okay, to test this. Take out these singles, test the lower distribution, and if we hold the overnight low or dip down into the 54, we find responsive buyers, then I'm expecting us to rotate back up into the upper distribution, chop around in here with a possible late day probe, okay, up into that 85.75. The buyers continue to step in, so I'm not convinced that this down day is a turnaround day yet. So similar to the hypo one of yesterday, chop on the open, the wide opening swing. We take out the naked VPOC and the singles on the open, maybe even take out the overnight low, and then a move down into the lower distribution, and then finding responsive buyers, somewhere down at the low or down in the 53, 54 area, and then a rotation back up into the upper distribution, chop around in this upper distribution, and then possibly a late day probe up into 81.50 or the 85.75. So that's hypo 1. Hypo 2 is we open auction in range, come down, take out these singles, work our way up, try to break out of the prior day range or probe up into the 81, 85 area, find responsive sellers, and then rotate us all the way back through the upper distribution, break through, and come down into this 54. Very similar to our hypotheses for yesterday. And if you go watch the video, you'll see it's very, very similar. And hypothesis number 3 is we open auction in range, get an open rejection reverse, come down here to the 63, rotate up, chop around the high, and then push through and up through that 85 and up into the 90s, testing that 90s, possibly even the 95, 96 level. So key levels for us is going to be here. It's going to be at the value area high and range high and the daily ATR upside target. All our targets remain the same to the upside. There's going to be a little bit of resistance here at the 90 area, and then our targets above all stay the same, and then the same with our downside targets. There's a 63.50 value area low. Below that, anything below 65.50, I'm looking short into the 61 again, targeting down here at the close and the low from the prior day. And then really, it's going to be the 56.75 that I'll be looking for, some support, but if not, a move down into the 54.50, 53, and our daily downside ATR target of 52. So that's what I'm looking at. Take a quick look at the Keltner. Keltner center line is 68.25 right now. We're just testing below it. Move down to the 62.50. It's going to take us down to the Keltner, and obviously probably into the 61, taking out these singles at 67.25. Looking more and more like we're going to open up in this low volume area between 67.50 and 65.50. If we get it back above the Keltner, move to the upper Keltner line is going to take us up into that 74 area and take out the overnight high. That's all I need from the ES. Taking a quick look at gold. Gold continues to chop around this 78 as anticipated yesterday. We didn't quite make it to that 65 target down below. Currently holding 76 again. Key line is going to watch this 85, 86 area still. If we get above that, then I'm looking for continuation up into the 94, 96, and possibly go test that 1300. If we can't hold the 73 area, below 73, I'm still looking for a move down into the 67 and 65 area. And key line in the sand is going to be this 58.90. Below that, I'd expect continuation down towards this composite VPOC and former microcomposite VPOC down here at the 1253.30. So that's going to complete our pre-market session. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.